Hi, I'm Vincent Andrisani, and this is episode 21 of The Place of Sound. Thanks very much for tuning into this episode, and thanks also to those who've been following along through the last few episodes of the show. For those of you who are listening for the first time, The Place of Sound is a show that explores the theme of space, or the social geography, using sound and listening. We do so through a variety of audio media production formats, so you can expect to do a few different types of listening in a single show. Episodes consist of what we refer to as audio portraits, or oral history-style interviews that explore the topic of home. Soundscape compositions, which use everyday sounds to communicate the personal and social significance of a given place. And we typically end the episode with a short documentary-style piece that, over recent months, has explored the topic of social isolation, something we know all too well as a result of our lockdown experiences. These are the types of projects that you can expect to hear on The Place of Sound, and all of them are produced by students here at Carleton University. They're what gets produced in COMS 4501 Digital Media Production, which is a fourth-year workshop course in the Communication and Media Studies program. This episode is part 2 of 3 in a series of retrospective listens to the work that's been aired on The Place of Sound in 2021. In part 1, which was episode 20, we listened back to a series of audio portraits. These are short, 2 to 3 minute stories on the topic of home, and in total, we listened to 7 of them. In this episode, we'll focus on the soundscape composition, a genre of audio media production that communicates a particular story about a given place. Soundscape compositions consist of a combination of field recordings and voice, and these two elements are combined to tell a story about a place that's meaningful to the producer. When developing these projects, students think with and through their microphone. They move it through space as though it's their ear, and with it they can capture some of the small, tiny sounds that we might otherwise miss. And of course, they also capture some of the louder sounds, the ones that are hard to overlook. And the voice that you'll hear is the narrator, or the producer, who invites us into the space and guides us through it. Their aim is to find the right rhythm, to speak when we, the listener, need to know more about where we are and what we're hearing, but also to remain silent at times and to let the sounds themselves do the talking. By the end of the piece, we should have a sense of where the place is, how it's brought to life in sound, and most important, why the space itself is meaningful to the producer, to others, or to both. This is how we're thinking of soundscape compositions. So in this episode, we'll feature some of the soundscape compositions that aired on The Place of Sound in 2021. We'll listen to 4 of them in total, and they are the following. Good Morning, Madian by Xiaotao Zhong. Intimately Traversing a Space of Agony by Riley Duns. My Nanny's Place by Hannah Kalmisto. And lastly, Shanghai's Riverside Promenade by Xiaoyi Chen. Each student will jump in to offer a quick introduction to their piece before we listen to it. They'll give you a sense of where the recordings were made and what the piece is about. So without further ado, here's Xiaotao Zhong and his piece, Good Morning, Madian.
Hello everyone, my name is Xiaotao. The soundscape composition you're about to hear is called Good Morning Madian. It was a piece developed in Madian Park in Beijing. I was hoping to capture some unique sounds in the morning. I saw a lot of people doing exercise there and they're enjoying this beautiful morning. I hope we can enjoy it and get up early to do exercise. It's 7 a.m. in the morning in Beijing. The city is starting to wake up. If you ever live in Beijing, you should know that people who live in this city always experience that fast-paced lifestyle. And this type of high rhythm starts early and every morning. I'm on my way to Madian Park to go for a morning walk. I used to do this every week, but since I have a tight schedule now and I often stay up late, so I spend most of the mornings catching up on sleeps. Madian Park is a 5-minute walk away from my home. I love coming here for a walk because it's a place that allows me to escape from the busyness of the city, a place for me to relax and recharge. I missed listening to birds warbling, the sound of sprinklers watering bushes and flowers, and a groundskeeper sweeping the road, because these are unique sounds in the morning. The song coming from the center square of the park breaks the peacefulness. People are dancing with music played out loud. It is often called square dancing in China, and it has become very popular in recent years. Most of them are seniors, and they dance for exercising. The cracking noise from the loudspeaker, especially when they maxed out the volume, can sometimes be annoying. Many people are in the park doing morning exercises just like me, especially middle-aged and senior people. Some of them are like me, going for a walk. Some of them are jumping ropes. Some of them are playing ping pong, badminton, and basketball as well. In contrast to workers rushing to work in the morning, people here in the park are relaxing and enjoying the beautiful morning. Jianzi is another popular sport here. It is a traditional Chinese sport. The players are aimed to keep the heavily weighted shuttlecock in the air by kicking it or using different parts of their body besides their hands. This jarring and high-frequency sound is coming from Diabolo, which is the traditional Chinese juggling we often refer to sky bamboo. The player uses hand sticks which attach to the string to spin the object that looks like an hourglass. I used to play it in elementary as well, but I wasn't really good at it. There is a famous Chinese saying says that early morning is the golden time of the day. Doing exercises in the morning not only lower the risk of health conditions, also help improve mental clarity and boost up the energy for the rest of the day. I wish I could come here more often from now on. Right now, I'm feeling refreshed and rejuvenated, and I'm absolutely ready to start my busy day.
Hey CKCU, it's Riley Dunt here again. I hope you're all doing well, and today I'm bringing you a soundscape composition titled Intimately Traversing, a Space of Agony. In this audio, you'll hear myself exploring Rideau River on the edge of the Carleton University campus, a space I sought comfort during the most difficult moment of my life. I've captured a wide variety of sounds, though with a particular focus for the different acoustic levels of intensity of water. Coupled with these sounds is a personal narration where I explain the importance of this place in the past and present for me. Without further ado, here it is. I hope you enjoy. When I first moved here to Ottawa in 2017, my sole purpose was to begin my journey of working towards a university degree. I didn't have much meaning here in Ottawa other than being here for school and living away from home for the first time. But the most meaningful moment in my life happened while I was here in Ottawa. And it was the night I found out you were gone. On that night, I walked down to the river on the edge of campus, seeking complete solitude. I've always been drawn to the sounds of water, whether they be from environmental spaces, from a raining showerhead, or even running through pipes. These sounds of water bring me a feeling of comfort in which I can't describe. They always have. That night, my mind was crashing with thoughts and feelings in which I can't remember. All that could be heard was the river. And sounds to remind myself that I'm not in the midst of a nightmare. My experience with this space has been quite limited. I was only there to numb the pain and the agonizing thought of never seeing you again. Now that I've returned almost 3 years later, it's time I intimately explore this place, as it holds so much meaning to me. Is someone there? I shall enter on my own terms. I've entered a new realm of sonic perception. The calmness brings me an undescribable level of comfort. And hearing the water negotiate its space around other objects soothes my soul. It's that time of year where spring is near. The temperature is slowly rising, earthy crunch is revealed, and muddy puddles are plentiful. To truly connect oneself with this space's sounds that are dominated by the roar, sometimes you have to be willing to take risks to capture the intimate sounds that only exist in the presence of an active ear. And with a persistent eye, find the spaces where sound is perceived anomalous. as I've made my way upstream, I've reached the apex of the roar. And I feel like I am where I was 3 years ago. My thoughts were just a mere reflection of the river's continuous crash. But I'm at ease with this space now, and to make my presence known, I indulge into its calmness. The agony doesn't fade, but intimately traversing this space has brought me so much closer to you.
Hi, my name is Hannah, and for this soundscape composition, I explored the sounds in my nanny's home. My nanny, or my grandma, is one of my favorite people in the entire world, and her home has always been a place of comfort for me. And since moving in with her due to the pandemic, I have found her home to be full of familiar sounds to explore. This is me, coming into my nanny's house after a walk. Hi, Nanny! Calling out to her like that has become reflex now, whether I'm coming in from outside or approaching where she is in the house, as she always has the TV or radio on. One of the first sounds you hear when you walk in the front door of her house is the ticking of a light timer in the front hall. This timer is exceptionally loud for some reason, which is probably why it has stuck with me as the sound of her home. Since moving in with my nanny due to the pandemic, I realized that there are a lot of sounds that I've unknowingly associated with her and her place. In my lifetime, my nanny has lived in a variety of different spaces, from 34 Almond, where my mom and her brothers grew up, to the condo where she lived most of my childhood, and to now, a semi near my parents' house. Each has felt like the same place, my nanny's house. What you doing?
Oh, I'm just washing up a few dishes here. Get it cleaned up rather than have them sit here for a while. Instead of putting them in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's not many of them, so.
Are you ready for our afternoon drink?
I sure am.
Or evening drink, I should say?
Yeah, yes, I prefer evening drinks than afternoon drinks. You know.
Fair.
Pre-dinner cocktails, maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely more appropriate than afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's hard to get those glasses apart when you do that.
Let's just think this out for a minute. Who are you going to prioritize? And God bless the soundscape.
A sound that is quintessentially my nanny is the clinking of her Daily Bell scotch and ice cubes. For as long as I can remember, her one glass of scotch has been a staple in her evening routine, and living with her now, things are no different. This is us sitting down for our evening drink, except as you'll hear with the opening of the can, I have a gin and tonic, as straight scotch is way out of my league. My nanny's house phone is a sound that I have heard a lot in her home, even more now since living with her. She's a very popular lady, although I'm sure she would beg to differ.
I could better answer that.
She's one of the only people I know with a house phone, and it's always ringing with either family or friends on the other line.
Oh, Paul. Hey, you got back to me quickly. Yeah, I got your message. So, whatever you want is fine. Pink and purple sounds great.
While waiting for her to come back, another sound that I remembered always associating with her is the CBC The World This Hour sound.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Blake Prendergast.
For the longest time, I had no context for this particular chime. She always had her radio on. Now I know it's usually CBC or 96.3 Classical FM.
Sorry about that. I was Paul again asking more questions about the dog coat. That's okay.
Even though my nanny loves her traditional media like the radio, she does her best to be tech savvy. And she does have a Google Home now. And that is what we are listening to as we sip our evening drinks. Ready to cheers?
I'm ready for a drink. Cheers.
Cheers. I want to put some music on.
Yeah, hey Google, play the Gordy album Don Quixote.
Playing the album Don Quixote on YouTube Music.
If it was not for the pandemic, I would be living in Ottawa, and as a result would not be nearly as close to home as I am right now. So in a way, I am grateful, as this time is invaluable to me, as it has also led me to have a newfound appreciation for the sounds of my nanny's place, and despite the circumstances, to cherish the time living with her now.
Hi, I'm Xiaoyi Chen. You are going to be listening to my soundscape composition. For my soundscape composition, I chose the Shanghai riverside promenade as the field, and recorded the various sounds I discovered in the field. The reason I chose this field is because it's a place which can hear the most iconic and representative sound of Shanghai, and it's also a place full of my memories. After I got off the ferry, the gate of the Dongchang port opened gradually. Then after about 10 minutes walk, there is an amazing place that I really like. It is Riverside Promenade, which is located in Pudong New District, Shanghai. It's like a park with places where people can chat, rest, take a walk, ride bicycle, and enjoy the view of the Bund or the high-rise buildings across the river. The location is really great because it's in the center of Shanghai and it's beside the Huangpu River. So every time I come here, I just find a place to sit and staring at the beautiful view of the city for several hours. Take a few steps forward, there is a bar that I like very much. It is called Chili's. Sometimes I will come here with my friends. I think it's a good place to chat with friends and spend the spare time. After we finished taking some foods or drinks, we just took a walk along the river. I can hear various sounds of nature in this place, such as the sound of river lapping the bank, the sound of birds and seameal chirping, and even the sound of a passing ship. Except from the amazing sound of nature, an unique sound can be heard in this place too. It's the voice of the bell tower across the river. The bell tower is called Shanghai Custom House, and the melody of the bell tower is called The East is Red, which is a very famous song in China, and the bell rings every 15 minutes. was 6 p.m., and after the bell rang, all the lights of the buildings were turned on. I think the bell sound is the most iconic and representative sound of this city, Shanghai. Every time I hear the bell ring, I feel nostalgia, and it brings up all the memories of my hometown Shanghai. The riverside promenade is just like a place of peace in the metropolitan city. It's also a place with precious memories for me. It reminds me of the time I used to spend in this place with my family and friends.
Thanks very much for tuning in to this episode of The Place of Sound. But before I sign off, a couple of quick notes. The first is about the featured work section on the Place of Sound website. It's a blog that presents some of the individual projects that you will hear or have heard on this show. On the site, you're of course able to play the audio work itself, but you can also see some of the original photos and the writing that students produce to go along with the audio. Since you can't read that writing or see those photos on the radio show, this is a great way to access it. So check that out in the blog section on theplaceofsound.ca. And the second is that we've now put together enough episodes that there's a bit of an archive emerging. To listen back to previous episodes, you can find them in two places, on ckcufm.com or on the website at theplaceofsound.ca. In the meantime, keep your ear out for upcoming episodes, which air on CKCU Radio every other Monday at 6:30 p.m. Until next time, thanks for listening to The Place of Sound.